Welcome back, everybody. My name is Tucker, and in the second of today's videos, we're talking about the start to the season for the Philadelphia 76ers. If you guys missed it earlier today, I did upload a video being brutally honest about the start to the season for every single NBA team. It's a really fun video. You guys should go check that one out. But for Philadelphia, it might seem a little bit odd that I'm talking about them today, given that they just gave up 1,000,000 points to Bradley Beal last night, and all the credit in the world to Beal yesterday. But I feel like it's time to start talking about the Sixers now. They're at the top of the Eastern Conference. They're at 7-1. And they're doing a lot of things right. There are some things that you can take away from this that maybe make you think this is a little bit fluky. But for me, based off what I've seen, the Sixers look really, really good now under new head coach Doc Rivers. So the first point to make here is even after giving up all those points to Beal and the Wizards yesterday, this is still, by defensive rating, the best defensive team in the league. And honestly, they probably should be, or at least, top 5. And that just has to do with their personnel. I mean, when Joel Embiid is locked in and ready to go, he's a defensive player of the year caliber guy. He is such a deterrent at the rim, has such great length, can still do some things, make it difficult on guys, even to get off little floaters in the lane, in the mid-range and stuff. He's so good. I honestly think that Ben Simmons, if he gave full 100% effort on every possession, could be one of, if not the best perimeter defenders in the entire league. I think he has that level of defensive upside, and when he's giving that level of effort, he's awesome. Now, you can't expect either of those guys to go 100% on defense all the time. It's a long season. They have a large amount of offensive responsibility, but strictly with those two guys, they have the foundation of a really good defense. And then as long as everybody else is in the right spot and giving good effort, they should be a really good defensive team, and to start this year, they have been. On the offensive side of the floor, they're 11th in offensive rating, so top half of the league, nearly in the top 10. I do have a little bit of concerns about that potentially falling off down the road a little bit. They've been good, but not great offensively. The thing that's been great has been the shot making. They're shooting the ball extremely well, and I would expect that to cool down a little bit at some point and bring them a little bit more towards the middle of the league in offensive rating. For example, Embiid is shooting 40% from 3. Tobias Harris is shooting almost 47% from 3. Curry is shooting 59.5% from three-point range, and Ben Simmons is shooting 100%, obviously on extremely low volume. But as a whole, they're top 10 in the league right now in three-point percentage, and maybe that'll keep up. But specifically for these 4 guys, these numbers are going to come down at some point. There's no way they're going to shoot that well for the entire year. So from an offensive standpoint, I'm expecting a little bit of slippage throughout the year for Philadelphia. The other concern I have about them moving forward is who is the 5th guy going to be. Those 4 players, Simmons, Curry, Harris, and Embiid, Harris we'll get to a little bit later, have been awesome to start the season. But it's been a little bit of a struggle to figure out who the other guy is. Maybe you think it should be Danny Green, the veteran, can make shots, can still defend a little bit, hasn't been shooting the ball extremely well this year, and has, been honestly in a bit of a slump over the last year and a half or so. And probably shouldn't be a starter on a team as good as Philadelphia, so ideally you want to find somebody else. Thibault has been really bad offensively, making him pretty difficult to play. He's still young, he'll figure it out, but I don't think he's necessarily the answer. Even though he's so good defensively, you need some guys that can make shots off the ball in that first unit. He's just not that guy right now. Tyrese Maxey's been up and down, as you would expect a rookie to be. Again, he's probably more likely a bench guy, and that's just probably a better role for him. Korkmaz just simply has not been able to make any shots, and that's really held back his potential impact on this roster. And Dwight obviously does not fit in this starting lineup alongside Embiid. So I'm sure for some people, the answer then immediately goes to someone like Shake Milton, but again, feels a little bit more like a bench guy, a guy that would be better in the second unit with the ball in his hands a little bit more. So either there's a trade to be made here potentially, or they're going to have to just figure out amongst the guys I just mentioned who the 5th guy is. It's not a huge issue to have at this point in the season. It's something you can definitely figure out, especially considering some of the younger options they have there to potentially fill that role, whether that be Milton, Maxey, or Thibault, because they should get better and more comfortable as the season progresses. But just something to kind of keep an eye on them throughout the year, either within their own roster or as a potential trade. And to this point in the year, they've proven that, they don't really need a Ben Simmons trade to be a really good team. I mean, 7-1, top of the year, Ben Simmons trade, James Harden trade for Ben Simmons to be at the top of the conference. And, I certainly was skeptical about this roster coming into the year. I've always thought they were talented, but they've always also seemed to underperform. But now here under Doc Rivers, they're playing really well. However, I would pump the brakes just a little bit, just a minor, reel it in scenario here. because it's not like they're playing the best teams in the Eastern Conference. So they're 7-1. Weirdly, their one loss was a huge blowout to Cleveland. Don't fully understand that one. But the other games that they've been playing, this is the entire list of teams that Philadelphia has played so far this season. The Wizards, Knicks, Cavs, Raptors, Magic, and Hornets. And I mean, the Magic are up at the top of the standings. The Cavs have been decent. The Knicks have been decent. The Wizards at least can score. The Hornets have been interesting at times, but it's not like they're playing, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Lakers, the Clippers. So the record should even out with the schedule throughout the season. But regardless, it's been a really, really good start to the year, which brings us now to the Doc Rivers of it all. This was a significant change in Philadelphia. They'd had Brett Brown since the beginning of the process, and I always respected the fact that they gave him an opportunity to coach the guys that, he suffered through to get, basically. I mean, Brett Brown was there for so long, went through so much stuff, went through a lot of tough times in Philadelphia, and I respected the fact that they gave him, maybe one too many chances to be the head coach of this team moving forward. Ultimately, it didn't work, and I do think that Doc Rivers has made a difference. I don't know how it's going to work long term. We've seen this before with Doc, where initially he shows up and it's great, and then later on down the road, whatever he is doing just does not work as well or rubs guys the wrong way. But initially, it's definitely a success what Doc Rivers is doing in Philadelphia, and specifically with Tobias Harris, because this is a player that was an absolute albatross of a contract on this roster. And they made the trade with him with the Clippers. He was with Doc with the Clippers and came to Philadelphia, and it just wasn't a good fit. He was more of an on-ball ball screen guy in LA, and came to Philadelphia and became just a complete off-ball player for the most part. But Doc has found a way to begin this season to really unlock what Tobias Harris does well, which is huge because he's a good player. Like, he's overpaid, and no matter how good he is, he's going to be overpaid. But that's kind of the price they had to pay to keep him. And again, don't devalue what Tobias Harris does on the basketball floor just because of how bad the contract is at times. He's a very, very good basketball player, and I think he's proving it to begin this season. Again, you saw the three-point percentage stuff earlier. That's going to be the biggest differentiator for him in terms of being able to be on the floor and not be a primary ball handler guy in that starting unit. And, being able to make shots off the ball is huge for that. And then in the second unit, he can be a bit more of an offensive focal point on the ball. All those things have been huge for Philadelphia. So keep an eye on this team the rest of the year. There might be a little bit of slippage in three-point percentage. They're going to start playing some more difficult teams. So I'm not necessarily expecting them to start the year 15-4 or anything, but they've been really, really good to begin the year. I think that there's definitely a bit of a change in tone and things being taken a bit more seriously in Philadelphia. Now with Doc Rivers there, the Embiid-Simmons combo from a talent perspective is about as good as it gets in the entire NBA. And if they can continue to figure it out, find their fifth guy, continue to shoot the basketball really, really well, they're going to be a problem. Any team this year is as bad as defense is going to be, especially for the first half of this season. If you can be a top 5, top 10 team in the league defensively, you're going to have a chance in pretty much every single game, because even if you're not a great offensive team, which I wouldn't count them as a great offensive team at this point, they're still trying to kind of figure it out. Teams are such a mess defensively, you're still going to be able to score points. So if you can be one of those top defensive teams, you're going to be able to win a lot of games. And Philadelphia should be right up there throughout the year. The defensive rating is inflated a bit by the schedule, as is everything so far for them this year, because it has been a relatively easy schedule. But I don't want to take anything away from Philadelphia to begin the season. They've been awesome. I'm keeping an eye on them to see how they continue to progress moving forward. And hopefully they stay healthy as well. That's another thing I meant to mention in the beginning. Those core 4 guys that I mentioned, Curry, Harris, Simmons, and Embiid, all of them have played every single game with the exception of Embiid. He did miss one game. As long as they stay healthy, they find their fifth guy, they continue to be good defensively, they continue to make shots, the Sixers are a real team. And they don't need the James Harden trade, which further, changes everything with that situation, which we'll have to talk about another time in a different video. But that is going to be the end of today's second video of the day. Thank you guys very much for watching. As I said earlier, if you want to check out some previous videos, I've got some boxes on screen here you can check out. You can also just go, look at the cards throughout the video or look at the channel. I upload twice a day, every day. It's a great place for consistent NBA content. If you want to hang out with me outside of the videos as well, you can check out the socials at the bottom of the screen. There's links to all kinds of different sites if you guys want to interact with me outside of these videos. With all those things said, I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. Once again, my name is Tucker, and I will see you all next time.